This is Audible Grown with Paul Brunell and Stephen Carroll, the pop culture podcast covering sports, movies, and everything in between. Enjoy the show.
Episode 3 of Audible Grown is on me. I am Stephen with my co-host Paul.
Yeah, we're here. How you doing? We got a lot to talk about today. We're going to go into the controversy surrounding Joker. We're going to talk about the Patriots, a little bit on the NHL. We got the SpongeBob minute like always. We'll keep that for later. Got something special coming up later this week.
Yes.
So where do we start? Maybe let's start with the Patriots. They're playing the Giants tonight. We're 5-0. If you've been watching, you've been seeing, Tom Brady's had some rough moments. The offense has had some rough moments, but we've managed to kind of keep that momentum going. How do you feel about the season so far?
The offense is struggling, like you said, but their defense is the number one defense in the NFL right now, so that's keeping them in a lot of games. So.
Yeah, and was it just, when was it, like a couple of years ago, where their defense was actually like some of the worst?
Yeah, I think they actually won the Super Bowl with the worst
with the bad defense
in NFL history. So
yeah, well, I think we're on a winning streak with Tom Brady sometimes not being at his best. I think you can kind of agree across the board that he's made some mistakes, and we're still 5-0. We got the Giants starting actually in like 26 minutes, so we'll still be going. We might be able to bring you a quick score towards the end of the game. I have my phone here.
Or the end of
the podcast. So what are you thinking? Everyone's kind of agreeing across the board that we're going to have a kind of a total blowout.
I mean, the Giants have a few key injuries, but we do too. But I think the Patriots are the very more experienced team anyway. Plus, they'll be in front of that crowd at Gillette, so that will always help.
Yeah, home field advantage is kind of it's a real thing. It's a proven track record, which is interesting because you notice when a team is playing away, that stadium will usually get so loud during things like field goals to distract them. But this time the cheer is going to help them because it's coming from people who aren't trying to, who don't want them to lose. So that's going to be great. And then, let's see, we have another NFL news. If you're not paying attention, we have the Dolphins are not playing so great. The Redskins aren't playing so great. The Bengals aren't playing so great. So I think they're kind of out of the running. But you had mentioned earlier that if we're talking Patriots going to the Super Bowl, you were saying that you'd want to see the Saints, potentially.
Yeah, I just like the matchup like Tom Brady versus Drew Brees, two of the best quarterbacks in this generation of the NFL. So I always thought that would be interesting. Plus, they don't play each other a ton, so it would be nice to see on that big of a stage.
Yeah, and speaking of which, Tom Brady is about to pass tonight Peyton Manning's record, right?
For the second most passing yardage in NFL history.
Just behind Drew Brees, but by 3,000 though, so I think he's got a way to go.
I believe he's coming into the night only 18 yards behind Peyton Manning.
Wow.
So,
that's very interesting. So that is happening very, very soon. In other sports talk, you see we have the Bruins, who, 3 games in, they're 3-0 undefeated right now.
Yes.
But do you want to give your thoughts? Because I feel like you do a better job at maybe giving the current state of things.
Well, it's hard to really judge on just 3 games, but the resilience they showed the other night against Las Vegas, they fell down 2-0, like in the first 10 minutes of the game, and then came back and got 4 unanswered goals and ended up winning that game. So we'll see if they can continue it at a steady pace to at least get into the playoffs. I mean, they play in the toughest division in hockey, so it's gonna be a challenge all season to stay in the playoff race.
Yeah. And there's another New England team playing sports right now. I just keep forgetting because they're so terrible. The Red Sox, obviously out of the running. But if you had I don't know, like what are your serious thoughts on the Red Sox and why they're struggling so much?
I think they got a little cocky because they won the World Series in 2018, so I don't know this for a fact, but from a fan perspective, I think they just went into the season feeling a little bit invincible, and they had basically the same team coming back, so I think they just got overconfident.
Yeah.
And just couldn't put it together on the field.
It's very interesting. You know, you kind of look at that as a cautionary tale across like everything, is that pride, you know, or cockiness, or having, you know, it is okay. Obviously, having confidence is amazing, but confidence without any humility and just being like, you know what, we won last time, why wouldn't we win again? And not coming into the game with a sense of humility, I think is kind of their downfall. And that's what I like about the Patriots, is that every time they win, Belichick is like, well, it's on to the next game. We're going to try our best, and we're going to do what we do, and hopefully we can win.
Because I think
that's my Belichick impression.
I think with the Patriots, they always find like the one person that still doubt them, or they find a coach that think they can game plan to beat them. So they use the doubt as motivation to keep going and trying their best to win game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we had our church just recently had Benjamin Watson speak. He was the tight end, and he actually just got released.
I watched the video of that conversation.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It was fantastic.
And what he said it to comical effect, but what he said was that win or lose, Coach Belichick is completely level-headed. He's like, win or lose, it's the same face. You win, it's the same face. You lose, he doesn't blow up in anger. So he keeps them very level-headed, and I think it's that level-headedness, that knowing you can win or lose, that helps you actually win. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's where I think the Red Sox came up a little bit short. I think they just went through this season thinking like, we won last year and we have pretty much the same team coming back. We should just automatically be in contention for another one. So I don't think they felt like they needed to put in as much effort as they did.
Yeah, very interesting. Well, we'll see how they do next year. So we both saw a movie this weekend.
Yes.
In case you've been living under a rock like Patrick Starr, and I'm proud of myself for putting SpongeBob in there before the proper time.
Yes.
Thank you very much. But if you haven't heard, Todd Phillips, who usually, if you don't know this, Stephen, Todd Phillips actually directed the Hangover trilogy.
I did not.
And he's only done comedies, but he's moved from comedy to very serious drama. On October 4th, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker was released. And
Very controversial.
extremely controversial. It was very, very controversial about whether or not a movie about violence can spark violence, which is kind of the age-old debate, like, do video games cause violence? Do movies cause violence? There was a lot of tension and heightened security, and thank God nothing actually happened during premiere weekend, thankfully.
I know.
But it's very interesting to see. You don't see a movie come along that often that really ruffles people's feathers like this. You know what I mean?
Right. And I was excited to see it, but when I heard about a lot of the controversy, I started questioning, do I really want to see the movie? What kind of effect is it gonna
for sure
have on me?
Yeah, it was very. So to give a quick synopsis, basically it's, DC has never really told a real origin for Joker. It's always been, he said in one comic or one TV show, I don't remember, he said, I like my past to be multiple choice.
Yes.
In other words, you never really know, what his past is. He's always making up names in different stories, kind of like how he did in The Dark Knight.
Right.
But this one's very much like a focused origin story of a man named Arthur Fleck, who's kind of, been beaten down by society. He's bullied. He's very, very skinny to the point of almost like anorexia. And the state has cut his funding to his medication. And
Right.
You know what I mean? It's very much making a political statement about how we treat people with mental health issues. And then it kind of talks about how through him being constantly beat down by society, he quote unquote becomes the Joker. And it's a very interesting movie in that it dares you to have compassion for the villain up until a certain point, right? Because when he's in the beginning and he's twirling his sign and he gets beat up by those bullies,
He's just trying
to
be a normal, everyday human being.
yeah. And I will preface this. You saw that in the trailer, but we might go into a little bit spoiler territory. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, go see it first.
Yes.
I figured I should say that. But anyway, yeah, you were saying.
Yeah, well, you really see him in the beginning of the movie with, the struggle of depression and mental illness, and he's just trying his best to fit in as a normal human being, quote unquote. So.
Yeah, and again, like I said, the movie challenges you. How long will you have compassion, right? You get up until a certain point where you can't justify his actions anymore. You know what I mean? Because he struggles, but then, he becomes the Joker, and the Joker commits atrocities. And at that point, you're like, there's no excuse for his actions, but at the core of it is a hurting person. But then at the same time, you feel bad for feeling bad because you know what he's doing. And it's one of those movies that really, really challenges you and challenges how you look at a person. But also, it's a statement that we need to take mental health seriously. We need to take medication and access to therapy very seriously and helping people get better. So did you kind of get that deeper message while you were watching it?
That's what I took out of it, and not to get overly personal, but I see a therapist, and I just want to say that if you think it's a bad thing to admit you need help, it's really not.
Not at all. No, it's not. It's not. Never be afraid to ask for help. On a more serious note, there's nothing wrong with therapy. There's nothing wrong with taking prescription medication. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that at all. There's nothing to be ashamed about. And if that's one thing you walk away from this movie is, after, being highly disturbed, is that, you want to help people. You really want to reach people who are struggling and let them know that they're not alone. But what are your thoughts on a sequel to this? Because quick spoiler warning is that you find out that what Joker does causes an uproar in Gotham City. And at one point he goes to Thomas Wayne's house and he sees a young Batman, a young Bruce Wayne. And you kind of think that through the movie that Thomas Wayne, that's his father that he had with his mom. And then you find out that he was adopted, that it's not really his dad. But the acts of violence that he's causing directly lead to the death of Batman's parents. And the movie ends with Bruce Wayne looking at his parents after they were murdered. And you realize, oh my God, this Joker movie just led to the origin of Batman. But then you have the director saying they don't want to make a sequel. So what are you thinking? Do you think this should be a standalone film?
I mean, my thing is, like, if you do a sequel, where do you start the movie from?
Yeah.
Like,
did you hear the theory that ending scene where he's in the mental institution, he's, he looks older, he has, like, salt and pepper hair and his beard, and he's talking to the therapist at the mental institution about the joke that she wouldn't get. You know what I mean? A lot of people are theorizing that the end of the movie, after he's taken away, takes place years later, and he's found out that Bruce Wayne has become Batman, and that's kind of how they'll lead into a sequel.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because they actually made him look distinctly older, like a lot of time has passed.
But where would you start that movie? Like, would you focus on the Joker again, or would it be like more of a Batman movie? Like,
that's a good question. All I know is a lot of people want Bryan Cranston, who's Walter White, to play Lex Luthor in the sequel. Apparently, like, that's been a little thing circulating.
hey, I'm not against that. I'm be all in favor of that.
Yeah.
So.
We'll see. I mean, I don't know. Todd Phillips had made it very clear from the beginning that he's like, I'm making a standalone movie. I'm not going to do anything else with this. But then there comes a little thing along called money. And when a studio makes a lot of money, they say, look, we're going to make a sequel.
And
who cares what your vision is? And that happens sometimes.
They made a ton of money with
almost $300 million so far.
A ton of money.
There's no way that Warner Brothers is going to be like, listen, I know you said you wanted one movie, and we're going to respect that. But we have like $300 million over here that says people want a sequel.
And I don't know about you, but I can't remember the last time I heard that much talk about a movie even before going into the movie.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Is like it builds that anticipation, but it also builds that like apprehension.
Yes.
It's like, should I see this? You know what I mean? Like, but I think it was well worth the experience.
Because you were with me the night before I went to go see it, and I was sitting there debating, like, do I want to see this movie?
Yeah, which is a valid question. You know, I mean, there are theaters posting warnings saying this movie is not for kids. You might see Joker and think it's PG-13, but it's rated R. It's very violent and dark. You know what I mean? Like people who aren't moviegoers, who might be more casual, might think, hey, this is a great movie to see the kids. And then, halfway through they have to leave because it wasn't what they anticipated. So kind of go in with your expectations in check, I guess, is what I would say. Yeah. So that's awesome. $300 million. It already beat Venom's record for an October release as the highest grossing October release of all time in history. So that's really exciting. And so I think I'm not going to be surprised if a sequel's announced.
Can I pose a question?
Yeah, what's that?
Not to be like rude, but it's a movie about one of the biggest supervillains ever. Like, if you don't know that movie is gonna be
That's fair. It's
dark,
gonna be dark. Yeah.
then I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's very, very fair, you know? I think Christopher Nolan kind of toned it down for The Dark Knight because the other movie was PG-13.
Yeah.
So to go from like a PG-13 to an R, like you know, kind of makes your audience smaller. But, you know, you're absolutely right. When it's done the right way, it's not going to be like a walk in the park.
And that movie was very, very well done.
Yeah, I mean, Joaquin Phoenix may be getting an Oscar nomination.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if he wins. You know, Todd Phillips may be getting, you know, it could be nominated for Best Film, Best Picture, Best Actor, maybe even Best Score because the music is like very haunting and
The
like melancholy.
music is perfect for that movie.
And it's this woman, she's a famous cellist, and most of the soundtrack is just her playing cello in like a really, really original way. And it sounds very dark and creepy, and it's like the way she does the score kind of really matches like what's going on in his head.
Yes.
So Joker's in theaters now. If you want to go check that out, there's a lot more. Trust me, we didn't spoil everything. But what's going on in the world? Gosh, what do we have going on next week? There's a little musical that kind of just left Broadway called the SpongeBob Musical. Kind of broke off of the TV show. And your mom was generous enough to give us tickets
I know.
to go see it.
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Oh, man, it's going to be great. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on this from what you've seen? Like the soundtrack alone.
I mean, we listened to that soundtrack multiple times, so I'm just excited to like hear the same music, but have like the scenery and the actual
Right in front of you.
show
Yeah.
right in front of you.
And to add realism to being in Bikini Bottom, they actually you watch the movie you watch the play in a swimming pool.
That would be awesome.
No, but it's great. What's very interesting is that if you don't know, the SpongeBob musical was actually David Bowie's one of his last songwriting credits before he passed away. Believe it or not, David Bowie was actually in an episode of SpongeBob in the Atlantis episode.
Oh yeah.
He played the king of Atlantis.
I heard about that.
So he already had associations with SpongeBob. So he wrote songs for the musical. And then who else? I mean, we have like, gosh, John Legend.
John Legend, Brandon Urie, Sarah Bareilles.
Sarah Bareilles,
she
yeah.
write one?
She did.
Yep.
Yep.
So many people.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on any more.
There's so much. And you know what's the most exciting is that Tom Kenny gets a music credit.
Yes.
If you don't know who Tom Kenny is, he's the voice of SpongeBob himself. So I would, but so they did a Broadway show. They played at Broadway, I think for over a year, and then they had to renovate the theater, and they shut down the production, and then they just started touring a couple weeks ago, and they're coming to Boston. So this is our shameless plug at the Bach Center in Boston, and they're playing there for a couple weeks. So we got tickets to see the SpongeBob musical.
Yes.
Are you familiar with the story?
Yeah.
If you want to maybe tell people.
Well, I don't want to, like, spoil it too much because in case people want to go see it, but basically, Bikini Bottom, like, in danger of ending, for lack of a better.
There's a big threat posed to the destruction of the city. Yeah, but you don't really.
Yeah.
We'll kind of save the specifics if you want to see it.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of it is about like SpongeBob dealing this is so funny because we're talking about a fictional dish sponge, but it's about SpongeBob kind of dealing with like, you know, am I the hero I think I am? Am I worthy to save Bikini Bottom? You know, Mr. Krabs tells me I'm just a fry cook. You know what I mean? But it kind of goes into like self-identity and like self-worth and all that.
Is SpongeBob like the most relatable cartoon character that you can think of?
Gosh, yeah, man. Like, what else is there? Like, you know, I think maybe most dads in their 40s can relate to Homer Simpson. No.
Yeah.
There's no, you know, not bashing dads in their 40s. I love, you know, my dad's. I'm not going to say his age. He'll listen to this and get mad at me. But you know, yeah, I think he is very, very relatable. You know, he's an eternal optimist. He's trying to make it in the world. You know what I mean? He works kind of like a dead end job and makes zero money, which will speak to anybody working in retail.
But he loves it.
He loves it. He's willing to work for like 60 cents on a sandwich.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, he has a group of friends that I think that have personalities that are relatable. You know what I mean? Someone who's, you know, genuinely thinks they're an artist and might be and is struggling to make it in the world. You know, Sandy, who's like a scientist who feels far from her home and wants to go back to Texas, and Patrick, who sometimes feels like he's in second place, and SpongeBob's kind of like the big trophy winning guy, and you know.
Yeah.
It's very, very speaks to many facets of like of people. You know what I mean? That's why it's so timeless.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we're excited. We're going to see that next Saturday. So episode 4 of Audible Grown, we'll talk about our thoughts on the musical. We'll do some reviews. We'll talk about the music, the production value, everything I heard so far. It sounds great. So we're really, really excited about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it would be nice to be able to talk about the actual show rather than just the music. And
Yeah, you know, it's very interesting. Is like you look at a musical and it's almost, you still have character development, production design, you know, musical timing, the lights and all the technical things and the hundreds of people backstage. So it's very, very much, you can critique it almost like you would a movie.
And I can't remember seeing another musical in my life, so I think this might be my first musical.
Yeah. So your first time like actually seeing a Broadway play?
Yes.
That's awesome. We saw, not the Book of Mormon. We saw Finding Neverland, which is the origin story for J.M. Barrie when he wrote Peter Pan.
Yeah.
We saw Something Rotten, which is about a group of Shakespeare fans who write a musical based off of one of his works because they're like super fans. It's a comedy. And Shakespeare's like this, you know, larger than life, prideful jerk who like steps all over the little people. You know what I mean? And he like looks like David Bowie and he wears like Ace Frehley glitzy suits, and you know what I mean? We saw that, and then I saw Les Miserables, which is a classic. So this will be my 4th, but I think it's gonna be like probably the most fun. Like we're gonna leave like, you know, high on life, just how energetic it is.
Being the SpongeBob super fan that we're gonna enjoy it so much.
Yeah, and then, you know, we're holding out hopes that maybe Tom Kenny would make a cameo appearance since he's credited in the production. Yeah, we'll see. That's awesome. So, gosh, what do we have coming up for movies, my friend? Anything on your radar?
I'm trying to think. Well, should we talk about the last Star Wars trailer about to premiere on
probably Monday
Night Football?
Yeah. So rumor has it that the final trailer for The Rise of Skywalker will premiere either this Monday the 14th or Monday the 21st, with tickets going on sale Sunday, a theatrical poster being released on Sunday. The trailer has been rated and classified as 2 minutes and 12 seconds. Listen, if you're a movie geek, you'll go behind like, you know, the Motion Picture Association and how they rate trailers and market movies and all that stuff. But we should be getting that very, very soon, and the movie's going to be in theaters in just a couple months.
Not too far off.
Not too far off. Is there anything that we haven't talked about yet? That there really hasn't been any breaking news about Star Wars since our last podcast, right?
No, not that I can think of. I mean, on another note, there was that Spider-Man controversy that I think has been resolved.
You're talking about the MCU thing?
Yes.
Okay, that's actually really, really great. I'm glad you mentioned that. So we've mentioned it in the podcast before that they were having an issue with Sony and Marvel. Sony wanted more money, or Disney did, and Sony said no, and we're pulling Spider-Man out of the MCU. So we kind of covered that whole thing. But what was just announced, I think last week, is that they finally reached a deal. Spider-Man is staying in the MCU. He's getting his third movie on July 16th, 2021, directed by John Watts, and they're continuing that story. And Sony was forced to accept the original deal of the money. But I don't know. I have a question. Here's a question for you.
Yes.
Is that knowing the behind the scenes stuff and like being more invested in films and knowing the business of it?
Yes.
Do you enjoy it more than you would if you were just a casual guy going in and not knowing about this stuff?
Yeah, I definitely enjoy it more.
Yeah, you like the business side of things almost?
Yeah.
Like the negotiations and...
Yeah, but when I go see the movies, I'm not thinking about that stuff. But it's cool to, know what's going on, in the inner workings of the industry. So.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Actually, I want to bounce off of you. You just reminded me of something, and I don't know if you heard this yet, but I want to discuss this with you too, and I want your 2 cents. This is really, really interesting. Going back to Star Wars, Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, okay?
Okay.
You're like, I'm getting ready for this. The top honcho at Disney just came out with a book. This was terrible timing.
Oh, boy.
He just wrote a book. He should have written this, in January after Star Wars was out already, because this is, terrible. But he wrote a book, and he said in the book that they had meetings with George Lucas before acquiring Disney about where Star Wars was going to go.
Can I for people that don't know, George Lucas is the original creator of Star Wars.
He is. He directed all the prequels too, so he directed 4 of the films out of the 10.
But go ahead. I just wanted to clarify that for people that weren't aware of.
No, that's all right, because it's interesting, right? You have generations of Star Wars fans who might not realize who birthed the entire thing. But so basically, Bob Iger, George Lucas had a meeting, and he brought his own screenplay for 7, 8, and 9. And George Lucas said, "Here are my very original ideas."
The 3 current.
No, here's the kicker. Bob Iger said, "We're going to buy your scripts from you, and we're going to use them, and we're going to use these ideas." He said, "By signing this contract, you hand these scripts over to us. We'll look at them. We'll consider them. We're not contractually obligated to listen to them. But we want you to know, George Lucas, that we're going to take your ideas very seriously. Very seriously." And they bought the scripts and then pretty much threw them in the trash and made their own movie. And he blatantly stated this, that the stories you see for The Force Awakens, for The Last Jedi, have none of George Lucas's ideas in them. And he said in the book, George Lucas is very, very disappointed in the current state of Star Wars. And I realized we made a mistake. And he's admitting to this before the new movie comes out.
Bad timing.
It's like people are going to read this and realize, oh my gosh, you just, for lack of a better word, you just stepped all over George Lucas's vision. Why would I want to go support you?
Can I just say, should have put it out in January.
Exactly. He should have bashed George Lucas after the movie came out. No. Well, what are your thoughts on that? Like the Star Wars you're seeing is not the original creator's vision. and he does not like it. Not to be like, gloomy doomy, but
I'm like shocked by that. 'Cause up until just now, I had no idea. So
it's really, it's interesting.
Trying to digest it and form an opinion, but it's crazy.
It's nuts. George Lucas sat down to watch The Force Awakens in 2015, and he walked out of the movie saying, "You guys did nothing original. It's basically A New Hope redone again. You have another Death Star."
Oh, I didn't even put two and two together.
It's, all right, so Rey is Luke, a nobody.
Oh my god.
They have another Death Star. They blow it up. They have another villain like Darth Vader. It's Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like beat for beat is very similar. But George Lucas, his story was going to be very original. It was going to deal with like the kind of like the midichlorians they talked about in The Phantom Menace. It was going to deal with Luke going off and in search of these like Sith and Jedi artifacts. It was going to be this new generation of Jedi that were going to come up. They were going to make clones of Darth Vader and the Emperor, and they had this crazy story. And Disney was like, "That's great, get out of here."
Come on, Disney. What are you doing?
Bob Iger's going to hear this podcast and shut us down immediately. Who do you think you are?
I know.
No.
Right?
But does that, going into this movie knowing that it's not what he wanted, does that like affect your experience at all?
Like, I have a feeling when I go to see the movie, I'm just gonna know that I'm seeing another Star Wars movie, but it's probably not gonna feel the same because I feel like it's just a Star Wars movie in name now.
Yeah.
Like it's not in George Lucas's vision, and that as a Star Wars fan who loves the original movies, that kind of hurts me a little bit.
Yeah, it's interesting, say what you want about the prequels. A lot of people like bash the prequels, but the prequels were very original.
Yeah.
They dealt with a lot of new concepts that this kind of new trilogy is great. You know what I mean? But it's more of fan service and what fans recognize. They're not really presenting new ideas.
Like, I'm gonna most likely come out of the movie and enjoy it, but in the long run, I think I'm gonna look back at it and realize it's just gonna be a Star Wars movie in the name.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
But I don't know if you feel the same way, but
I feel like I'm glad what we have. I feel like while we're watching the movie, I'll be able to kind of turn off my mind and who knows? We haven't seen it yet. Maybe it's the one Star Wars movie that George Lucas is going to be like, you guys actually did amazing.
right.
Like we don't know for sure. And then what do you think about? Did you hear that Kevin Feige, the producer of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is making a Star Wars movie?
I did not.
He announced that he's working on a Star Wars film, and the rumor has it that he's going to take over Star Wars, and so he'll be doing Star Wars and Marvel.
In your opinion, is that too much for like one guy to handle?
Gosh, okay. So when you're in charge of
Because
almost 30 films, TV shows, an entire franchise, like I don't know how he does it.
it's two of the biggest entertainment enterprises there is. Like, that's crazy.
You should focus his effort on smaller things, like I don't know, like maybe
Or just focus on either Star Wars or Marvel.
Well, it's the thing is, like, we have real problems, like the McDonald's ice cream machine always being broken. Like, maybe we should work on
but it's like, pick one, so that way you can put all your effort and energy toward that one. It would be like if Vince McMahon tried to run two different wrestling companies.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work.
Isn't he also running? When's that football thing starting? This is a good segue into AEW and like that whole thing, by the way.
February.
February. Wow.
Like,
Are you gonna watch it?
like right after the Super Bowl.
Do you think you'll tune in? I think I will just to give it a chance.
I'll tune in that first week just to see what it's like, but
Yeah.
I don't really have high expectations.
So what do you think of AEW so far?
Well, I only saw the first episode. You actually watched it with me. I thought it was
Before we move on, AEW is not A&W root beer. I said this last time.
Gotta clarify.
Just clarify. You're like, I didn't know soda companies had a wrestling promotion. That's great. Like, what's the wrestler's name? Dr. Pepper? Like,
yeah, and Mountain Dew.
I can just picture the title card. Dr. Pepper fights Mountain Dew for the WWE Soda Championship. Anyway, so do you think AEW is doing much, much better than...
Yes, because they had 3 pay-per-views, I think it was, before they even were on TNT last week, and I thought all 3 pay-per-views were good, and I noticed, like, during the show on TNT last week, every time they would go to commercial and there'd be a match going on, they'd do the picture-in-picture, so you wouldn't miss any of the match. So you didn't have, like, you didn't get invested in a match and then get pulled out of it right in the middle.
Like when something crazy is about to happen? Because they'll come back and they'll be like, so-and-so did this, this, and this, and he's like on the ground bleeding, and you're like, I want to see that.
Yeah, like, how do you expect the fan to get emotionally invested in a match if you're gonna pull away just to show like 3 minutes of commercial?
It's like, you've been watching wrestling. Now here's a commercial for Wendy's. It's like, don't pull me out.
Yes, right.
Yeah, that's great. So you probably have more of an opinion on this, but do you feel like the WWE could go back to its former glory?
Like, I hate to say it because Vince is the one that put WWE and pro wrestling on the map. But even a sports team, every once in a while, needs a change in like a GM or a coach. I just think WWE's in that spot. Like, you need a change in the person that's running the show, and that's nothing against Vince. I just think the wrestling fan is like totally different than it was back when WWE was in its heyday, and I don't think Vince is the right guy to continue that.
And not to say like, I don't want to like bash Vince 24/7. Like, look at what he created.
Yeah, like
look at his legacy still, even though he has missteps, but you can't say the man's not a business genius.
He'll always have one heck of a legacy. Like, the whole reason we have pro wrestling is him and his dad. Like, they're the one that started it. But even Vince's dad at a certain point was like, he knew I need to step aside and give it to my son for the future of the company. And look at what Vince did with it, because when father handed the company over, they were just a regional territory. And look at where they are now. They're all over the world.
It's crazy. Like, gosh. And this is like the first time in a long time where something's come along that's like a genuine threat to them.
Yeah, since like the mid 1990s.
Breaking news. Tom Brady had just passed Peyton Manning. I just wanted to establish that as a all-time. Just now.
Congratulations to the GOAT.
Let's have a quick check-in here. Let's look at the game live, courtesy of Google. We're at quarter one, 7:54 left. First and 10 at New York Giants, and it's 0-0.
Can I bring up something before we have to go?
Yeah, of course.
Speaking of Disney Plus is being set to release next month.
A month from Saturday.
So it's coming up quick.
Gosh, that's right. They just announced you can actually sign up for 3 years all at once if you want to go in long term.
Really?
You can do it month by month. You can do it 3 years. So like a month is $12. Like a year is like $60. So I think 3 years is like $180.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. But that's true. Disney Plus, and with that comes the first live-action Star Wars show, The Mandalorian. You got Lady and the Tramp, another Disney live-action remake. You got like The World According to Jeff Goldblum, which is literally Jeff Goldblum like doing normal things, which is hilarious because Jeff Goldblum is like the most eccentric person in the world. Gosh, but what's pulling you towards Disney Plus? Like anything you were specifically excited about?
Like, of course, the Star Wars Mandalorian thing, and then the whole Jeff Goldblum thing is like hilarious to me. But I'm also excited, like, they're gonna have obviously all the MCU stuff and all the classic Disney stuff all in one place. So
like every Disney, almost every single
and plus,
original animated film.
They bought Fox, so you're gonna have like
The Simpsons.
Yeah. You might have Family Guy, like almost
all 30 seasons so far, all at once.
So it's crazy.
Wow, that's nuts. Yeah, so that's only a month away. And then Disney also has, if we're on the topic real quick, like Maleficent 2 coming up. Robert Downey Jr. is playing Dr. Dolittle. What's a great resume? You go from Iron Man to a man who speaks to animals.
I know, it's crazy.
Emily Blunt and The Rock are in Jungle Cruise, which is based off another ride at Disney that comes out next year.
So diverse.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It is.
Pixar's releasing 2 movies next year, Onward and Soul. Let's see, Avatar 2 is coming out in about 75 years. No.
About time.
It feels like that. Avatar 2 comes out December 2021. I'll be married with 7 kids by then because like he doesn't know how to make a movie.
The same time Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Oh gosh, yeah, that video game has been delayed like 37 times. Yeah. But real quick, before we end, I need to mention that because Avatar came out in 2009. Avatar 2 is coming out in 2021, and they literally have Avatar dated through 2027.
Wow.
Like, someone born when Avatar came out will be 18 when Avatar 5 comes out.
What?
They'll be an adult.
Wow.
They'll be able to vote. They'll be able to vote that James Cameron stops making Avatar. No, I'm only kidding. He needs to move on and do something more like, I don't know, Titanic 2 or something. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. You know, I mean, we had 10 years between Revenge of the Sith and The Force Awakens, but, you know, I'll check it out. Who knows?
Crazy.
Yeah, but I think that's it for today. Let's take one quick look at the Patriots game. One quick live update. I'm going to refresh. Let's see. Not much to announce. Quarter 1, 7:07 left. First and 10 at New York Giants, 0-0.
And just really quick, any pressing video game news to mention?
Yeah, real quick. So we have Death Stranding coming out in November, which is Hideo Kojima. He's the man behind Metal Gear Solid. It stars Norman Reedus, actually, and Mads Mikkelsen, who was in Rogue One. The Last of Us Part 2 was announced for February 2020.
I can't wait.
The PlayStation 5 was officially announced for fall of 2020, for holiday season.
Yes.
Ghost of Tsushima, which is Sucker Punch's next game after the Infamous series comes out next year. And then Beyond Good and Evil 2 will come out
Somewhere.
probably
Sometime in the very distant future.
sometime in the next 75 years or so. Beyond Good and Evil 2 was announced like in 2005 and it still hasn't come out yet.
Yeah.
So we'll see. They're probably, I don't know, they're probably still working on the color grading. Anyway, but that's that. I think anything else real quick?
And I will mention, since I'm a big Taylor Swift fan, if there's anyone out there that's also a big Taylor Swift fan, tickets for some of her U.S. tour dates go on sale October 17th. So,
Yeah, and the concert's what, July 2020?
yeah, July 2020. She'll be playing Gillette Stadium on July 31st and August 1st of 2020. So
Awesome. Well, that about wraps it up for us.
Yes.
I'm Paul. You're Steven, in case you forgot your name.
yes, I am Steven last time I checked.
Awesome. All right, well, we'll see you guys next time for episode 4 of Audible Grown. Keep your eye on the movie news. We'll likely cover it if something breaks.
With the SpongeBob the musical review, and one final thing before we go. Please, we have a Facebook page now, so
We do, yes. Please visit
go
it.
check it out.
Yes, I'll be posting on there. We'll be posting on there frequently. And we'll probably be posting breaking movie news, too, so you can catch that there before the show
Yes.
comes on air. All right, so that'll do it from us. We hope you guys have a great week, and we'll see you next time for episode 4 of Audible Grown. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and until next time, we hope you don't audibly groan.